Stephanie just said she's done talking about Desiree. But guess what? She said that right before blasting her again. She posted a rant on her Facebook. She won't speak on Deshaun's real mom. Then in the very same breath, she questioned Desiree's intentions, accused her of showing a plate, and hinted she was fake. Let's talk about it, because while Stephanie sits in a shelter with her kids and a grown man playing PS5 all day, she has the nerve to act like she's the one saving Deshaun. This is not okay. A post that exposed everything. So here's what Stephanie said on her Facebook post, word for word. And also, I'm not going to speak on Deshaun's bio mom anymore. If people truly want to think she has genuine intentions, when she waited to pop up till she did, that's on y'all. Now pause right there. That question alone tells us everything we need to know. Stephanie claims she's not going to talk about Desiree, but then immediately goes on a full-blown rant about her. That's not being silent. That's being shady. That's speaking on her in the most calculated, dismissive way possible. You can't say you're done with someone while using the same breath to drag their name. Then she keeps going. Wild. Because one man put the effort in on social media specifically, try and make meanwhile, another pops up after that effort's been made and wants to claim effort on their part the whole time. Let's break that down. Stephanie is patting herself on the back for posting her kids' struggles on TikTok and then judging Desiree for not doing the same. She's making it sound like Desiree only came back into her child's life after the camera started rolling. But that's not just misleading, it's cruel. She wants people to believe Desiree had no part in her son's life until recently, that she's only showed up when the spotlight turned on. That's not true. It erases all the behind-the-scenes fighting Desiree has done since 2022. Court cases, police visits, begging just to see her child through a door that was never opened for her. Stephanie's post was more than just a passive comment. It was a calculated hit on Desiree's character, and she disguised it under the fake blanket of, I won't speak on her. But the internet has receipts, and so do we. The lie that Desiree just popped up. Stephanie keeps saying Desiree only came back around when she saw Stephanie's social media was gaining traction. But that's completely false, and honestly, incredibly unfair. Back in 2022, Desiree was already in the middle of fighting for her child. She filed not just one, but 2 emergency custody cases. That alone tells you this wasn't some last-minute cloud-chasing moment. This was a mother who had already been pushed out and was trying to claw her way back in. So why did she file those cases? Because someone told her Deshaun had been hurt. Specifically, that Stephanie gave him a black eye. That kind of accusation is terrifying for any mother, and instead of being welcomed with answers, Desiree was met with a locked door. She went to Drew's apartment in person, knocked, pleaded, waited, and they refused to even open the door. She called the police. Still nothing. This wasn't a mom who didn't care. This was a mom being shut out over and over. Not because she didn't want to be involved, but because they made it impossible for her to be. But here's where it gets even harder. Desiree didn't have money for a lawyer. She didn't have the resources to navigate the legal system. And because of that, the court dismissed her case. Not because the claims weren't serious, but because she didn't have the tools to fight back properly. She tried again when the family was facing homelessness. Still, the courts didn't help. She was drowning alone. And now, the only reason she's gaining momentum is because people have finally heard her story. The internet gave her voice that the courtroom never did. With that attention came support, legal aid, and most importantly, hope. So no, Stephanie, Desiree didn't pop up. She wasn't watching from the sidelines. She was in the trenches, fighting for her son, not for fame, not for likes, but because that's what real mothers do, even when nobody's watching, using the kids as props. Here's the part that really shows who Stephanie is. She keeps telling people that she never talks to Deshaun about what's online, but the evidence says otherwise. Let's start with her videos. One of her daughters clearly says on camera, "We won't let anyone take our mom away." That's not a child making a random statement. That's a child repeating something she's been told. And what they are referring to? CPS threats, online haters, claims that people are trying to break up their family. In another video, Stephanie proudly shared how her kids begged her to post a video where they sang to Deshaun, who was seated in the middle like he was some kind of symbol of loyalty. This happened after Desiree, Deshaun's actual mother, started pushing her custody case. These children were not just aware of what was happening online. They were fully participating in it, performing for the camera, saying things no young child should even understand. And that's not accidental. That's caught. Then there is Stephanie admitting, in her own words, that she sat Deshaun down and told him he could choose between staying with her or going with his biological mother, and that they wouldn't be offended. But let's be real. Telling a child that he has to choose between two people he loves is not some mature act of compassion. It's a burden. It's emotional warfare dressed up as a choice. Kids aren't supposed to mediate their own trauma. They are not supposed to weigh love like it's a competition. And they definitely not supposed to feel like they'll hurt someone no matter what they choose. Deshaun deserves peace. He deserves the chance to be a child, not a pawn in an internet narrative. And dragging him into online drama, even indirectly, is not parenting. It's performance, and it's damaging. Giving herself a trophy for blocking a mother. Stephanie wants credit for raising Deshaun. She keeps saying, "I've been there for him," like it's some kind of award. Like she stepped up when no one else would. And she's owed an applause for that. But here's the uncomfortable truth. The only reason Stephanie was even in that position was because she made sure Desiree couldn't be. She didn't step up in the absence of a mother. She blocked the mother from showing up. Desiree wasn't a ghost. She wasn't missing. She was pushed out. Every time she tried to call, visit, or show up physically, Stephanie and Drew either ignored her, slammed the door, or called the police. They built a wall around Deshaun and told the world they were the only ones who cared. And now Stephanie uses the same wall as her proof. She says, "Look at all I've done," while hiding the fact that she actively stopped Desiree from doing the exact same things. So how do you lock someone out of their child's life and then turn around and call yourself the savior? That's not selflessness. That's manipulation. That's rewriting the story to make yourself look like the hero when in reality, you were the barrier. That's not heroic. That's controlling and deeply unfair. The viral efforts were never for the kid. Stephanie says she made efforts on social media to help her kid. But let's be honest, those efforts weren't about parenting. They were about going viral. They were about getting attention, not action. She didn't go viral for providing a safe, clean home. She went viral for showing the opposite. Her children were filmed sleeping on hard floors, sometimes in the kitchen, sometimes in the living room, sometimes on thin blankets laid out wherever there was space. There weren't cribs or beds or even proper sleeping mat. It was survival mode on camera. And that's what gained her sympathy. That's what brought in the follow. Not because people saw a hardworking mom, but because they saw kids in desperate need. And instead of focusing on getting them out of that situation, she doubled down. She kept filming. She kept sharing the mess. because it kept people watching. That's not inspirational. That's exploitation of her own children. She built her entire platform off those conditions. She made her name by documenting the most heartbreaking parts of their life, not so they could get help, but so she could grow a brand.
I just like to say Stephanie is weird. Stephanie's supporters is weird. This whole shebang is weird because at the end of the day, when it boils down to it, Stephanie is mad that Desiree is getting attention. Stephanie is mad that Desiree is getting money. Stephanie is mad that Desiree potentially is going to take away her the biggest thing that supposedly makes her the best mother in the world, taking care of Andrew's son. Me personally, I'm sick of it, and it's funny to watch this in real time and then still watch people be absolutely just as delusional as she is, because at the end of the day, she don't care about that child. She don't care about her own children. Expect to be disappointed? Like, that's not something you say to a child. And I'm confused with the donut situation, because was she not sitting in a car? You was sitting in a car and you couldn't start it up, put the kids in there, drive to the store and get donuts. Maybe I'm slow. Maybe I'm just slow in here, because at first I'm thinking that they're slow. No, they are slow. And I really don't. Some of y'all are really falling for this in real time, and I'm just like, it's blatantly obvious this is bullshit, and you're still sitting here buying the bullshit. Like, and Stephanie is also even more weird with the thing with her mom trying to allude that her mom S8 her or something is just the most disgusting thing ever. Like, you can say all the things that you want to, but like, when you taking it that far, no, especially when there is no validity to whatever you just said. Also, where is this sister that you claim is in a worse situation than you? Because I didn't think it'd get no worse than staying in a hotel shelter with 7 people. Or maybe I'm confused. Maybe your definition of doing bad is different from my doing bad, because that's doing bad. You're also in a relationship with a man child. That is also doing bad. You are drying your wet clothes on beds that your kids sleep on. That's doing bad. You're cooking in the kitchen, front room, first, second, third bedroom, and bathroom, and waiting area, and living room, and TV room, and game room. So you're telling me that your sister is doing worse than you? Why are you up here just like trying to make your family seem like they're in like terrible situations, or they're just such terrible people, when in truth we don't? Your mom just now is talking up saying something in defense. Desiree is just now talking up saying stuff in her defense. Your sister probably doesn't even know that you said that on the internet. So you got a whole lot of, you gonna tell the side of the story for everybody else and then get mad when someone comes and says something about that. I'm gonna need you to get a grip, bitch, because the issue is you. And at the end of the day, Desiree is gonna get her son back. Thank God. And I really wish somebody would take the 4 kids that Stephanie has in her care away from her too. She'd be really just better off in that motel shelter with just her and Drew and his PlayStation. And yeah. She's not a committed mother. She doesn't really want to be a mother. Nobody is sitting there. I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it. I'm not. She's just one of those, look at me, I'm doing this, I'm doing that type of a person. Give me praise, give me this, give me that, because I'm doing this out of the kind of my hard ass person. And it's just like, you are a demon. A demon. No, seriously, she's just a terrible person. And whoever sits here and believes her is also a terrible person that I wouldn't trust around children or animals.
While she was editing videos for TikTok, Desiree was in real-life courtrooms, filing real legal documents, standing in line at police stations, begging someone, anyone, to help her see her son. Desiree didn't get likes or followers. She didn't get cash apps or gifts. She got silence, doors slammed in her face, and the court system that didn't listen because she couldn't afford the right lawyer. So when we talk about effort, let's be clear. Stephanie's effort was for followers. Desiree's effort was for Deshaun. And that's a big difference. Questioning intentions while hiding her own. Stephanie prays that Desiree's intentions are genuine. But let's flip the lens for a second. What about Stephanie's intentions? She didn't take Deshaun in out of pure love. She did it to prove something to Drew, to herself, and to the internet. She wanted to wear the badge of good mom, not because it was what Deshaun needed, but because it gave her something she was missing: attention, validation, control. Her platforms grew with every struggle Deshaun lived through. Her narrative was, look at me raising someone else's kid. It painted her as selfless, but behind the scenes, she wasn't doing it for Deshaun. She was doing it for applause. She even confessed that she's afraid Deshaun's real mother showing him love might make her daughters jealous. Why? Because they don't get that kind of emotional support from their own father, Joe. Instead of addressing that pain, instead of confronting how Joe falls short of his own children, Stephanie chose to make Deshaun the scapegoat. She'd rather limit what Deshaun receives than fix what her daughters lack. In her mind, keeping Deshaun away from his mother isn't cruelty. It's strategy. Because if Deshaun gets what he needs from someone else, her whole image as the self-sacrificing mom starts to unravel. So no, this isn't about love. This isn't about Deshaun's well-being. This is about Stephanie's ego. Her need to feel like the center of the story. And that's not love. That's competition disguised as care. The man she calls king. Stephanie often shares quotes online about how kids deserve present, loving, stable fathers. She even reposted one that said, kids need more than someone with the title dad. They need a man who makes them feel safe and supported, a man who shows up, who listens, who nurtures, someone dependable, who leads with love, not laziness. But let's look at Joe. Let's really look at him. This is the same man who stays locked into his PS5 like it's a full-time job. While the kids roam around the room, while food is cooking just feet from sleeping spaces, while his partner scrambles to do everything else. Stephanie herself said Jude doesn't want to get a job because he doesn't like being told what to do. That's not quirky. That's not some harmless personality trait. That's willful neglect. That's a man choosing convenience over contribution. Then comes the part that really hurts. Stephanie explained to her daughter why she couldn't count on Joe. Not even for something simple as buying her donuts. She was already sitting in the car. Could have gone and gotten the donuts together. Small, sweet moment between mother and daughter. But instead, Stephanie chose to deliver a hard truth. That her daughter should expect disappointment from the man she calls dad. That wasn't about money. That wasn't about timing. That was about a mother teaching her child not to expect anything from her own father, to lower her expectations to avoid pain. So the question stands, why continue calling him dad? Why allow him to hold a title he doesn't live up to? Because a man sitting in the same room is not the same as a man being present in your life. And no matter how many Instagram quotes Stephanie reposts, Drew's actions show the truth. He's not a protector. He's not a provider. He's not emotionally available. He's just there. And that's not enough. Not for the kids who deserve so much more. The shelter living conditions. Let's not forget the environment these kids live in. This isn't just humble beginnings. This is an active, dangerous, and chaotic health and safety hazard. And it's happening daily, right in front of the camera.
The Resilient Jenkins are notorious for lying. So let me just put some truth out there for y'all, because I think a lot of people that are following them and that are new and have no idea what's going on don't know this. Stephanie and Drew are not married to each other. Stephanie is very married still to her very first husband, and he is in jail for essaying women, old ladies, his own mother, and children, very young girls. Now, it has been said that Stephanie was part of the things that he was doing in helping him get these girls and these women, and that's why she is still married to him. Let's also acknowledge that you cannot testify against your own husband in court. So the question still stands, Stephanie, why are you married to your husband still? Let's clock it. And yes, I'm on my backup account because I'm trying to build my backup account. I will be posting from my main.
We are talking about a single, cramped room that tries to serve every function. It's the kitchen, the living room, the dining room, the playroom, the laundry area, and the bedroom, all rolled into one tight, chaotic space. There is no separation between where meals are being fried and where children are laying their heads to sleep. Stephanie is cooking full meals with a deep fryer and a griddle right beside blankets on the floor. Oil splatters in the same space where kids sit. There is no ventilation, no safety buffer, just the constant hum of appliances in a room that's already suffocating with clutter. Wires hung loosely from bathroom outlets, sometimes powering hair dryers dangerously close to splashing water. Extension cords snake through the living space, creating trip hazards. Dirty dishes pile up on any available surface. You can smell the stress, the sweat, the leftover food, the dampness of laundry hanging over door frames, and all of that in one room. There is no sense of routine or rhythm, no place for the children to be alone, to feel calm, to rest. They are always in each other's space, always one step away from danger. And this isn't temporary. This is the life Stephanie has chosen to continue despite knowing better. Because here's what really stings. Stephanie threatened to leave Drew. She talked about creating something better for her children. She even made posts about choosing peace. And for a brief second, people had hope, but it didn't last. She came back harder, louder, more defiant, still in the same shelter, still prioritizing content over safety, still exposing her children to the same harmful mess. The only thing that changed was her tone. The conditions stayed exactly the same. Legally married to a monster. Now let's talk about the husband. Stephanie openly admitted that her legal name is still Thompson. That's not just a name. That's a direct connection to Jeremiah Thompson, the man she legally married. A man who is now behind bars for one of the most disturbing crimes imaginable, sexually abusing minors, including members of his own family. And despite knowing this, despite publicly saying she doesn't want anything to do with the Thompson name, she hasn't filed for divorce. She hasn't taken the legal step to break that tie. In fact, she remains legally connected to a man who has no business having any access or claim to children, let alone being listed as the legal father to her two youngest kids. You read that right. Under the law, because Stephanie is still married to Jeremiah, he is considered the legal father of the two youngest children she had with Drew. Even though he's not their biological father, he has legal ties to them simply because of Stephanie's decision not to end the marriage. This isn't just a matter of paperwork. It's a matter of protection. It's about safeguarding her children's legal and emotional well-being. And yet, she's allowed this technicality to go on for years. She says she doesn't want to be associated with him. But words are cheap. Actions matter more. And the action she refuses to take, divorcing a convicted predator, is louder than any caption she posts. If Stephanie truly wanted to break free from that part of her life, she could have, but she didn't. And that raises serious questions about her priorities and the safety of her children. She could end this chapter, but she won't. And that silence, that refusal, it says more than any post ever could. The real danger for this kid, Deshaun might be close to being saved. His mom, Desiree, is gaining support. She's working through the courts. People are noticing. She's finally getting a chance to reclaim her role as a mother after years of being shut out. But what about the rest of the kids? What about the little girl who's been turned into a second mom at just 10 years old? The one who holds the baby, changes diapers, and manages chaos while Jew sits back gaming like it's his job? What about the kids who are constantly learning that disappointment is a normal part of that a father figure is just someone in the room, not someone who actually shows up for you? What about the ones who've been told that they have to perform their pain for attention online, sing for sympathy, smile through struggle, and say lines about loving their mom just to calm the audience? What happens to those kids when the cameras are off and reality sets back in? Stephanie wants the world to believe she's doing her best. She wants applause for making do, for surviving. But parenting isn't about survival when the choices are self-inflicted. It's not about what you post. It's about what you prioritize. And the truth is, these kids are growing up in a cycle of neglect that's being normalized. They are in a household where safety is an afterthought, where their emotional needs are overlooked, and where the adults around them are too focused on image to actually lead. If nothing changes, if the courts or child advocates don't step in, these kids will be left behind. Deshaun might find his way back to stability, but his siblings, they are still stuck in a cramped room, being raised by TikTok scripts and trauma bonding. And unless someone speaks up for them, unless someone acts, they will never know what it feels like to live a childhood free from chaos and survival mode. Stephanie says she wants the best for her kids, but her choices don't show it. She silences their cries for better by calling it sacrifice. She praises herself for being present while pushing away the real support her kids could have. And instead of stepping up, she posts quotes. At least Deshaun might get his chance at a fresh start. But for the others, the window is closing fast. What do you think? Should all the kids be given a chance at a better life, not just Deshaun? Let me know in the comments. Like and subscribe for more breakdowns. Because the truth, this story is far from over.